The heavy glass doors of the premier private bank hissed open, admitting a man who looked like he had walked straight out of a dust storm. Elias wore a faded flannel shirt, patched denim trousers, and boots caked in the red clay of the valley. He clutched a weathered leather satchel to his chest as if it held his very heartbeat. He didn't look like a man who belonged in a place that smelled of expensive mahogany and filtered air. Sitting in the glass-walled office overlooking the lobby was Julian, a high-frequency trader whose suit cost more than Elias's tractor. Julian was there to finalize a venture capital merger, sipping an espresso and checking his gold watch. When Elias approached the teller and spoke, his voice was low but steady. "I'd like to make a withdrawal, please. $1 million. In cash." The teller froze. Julian, overhearing the request, let out a sharp, condescending laugh that echoed through the marble hall. He turned in his swivel chair, eyeing Elias's calloused hands. "$1 million? In cash?" Julian mocked, leaning back. "Old man, this isn't a grain silo. You probably don't even have $1 million in that satchel. Why don't you head back to the field before you waste any more of this lady's time?" Elias didn't flinch. He didn't even look at Julian. He simply pushed his crumpled bank book across the counter. The teller swiped the card, her eyes widening as the screen refreshed. She stammered, her face turning pale. I need to call the manager." Julian's smirk faltered. He watched as the branch manager hurried out, bowing slightly to the farmer. For the next 30 minutes, as the bank staff scurried into the vault, a heavy silence fell. Julian, driven by a mixture of ego and curiosity, couldn't help himself. He walked over to the counter. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice losing its edge. "And why on earth would a farmer need $1 million in cash today? You're going to get robbed before you hit the parking lot." Elias turned his head slowly. His eyes weren't filled with anger, but with a deep, weary sorrow. "Today is the 13th of January, Elias said quietly. 20 years ago today, the mountain pass collapsed on the local schoolhouse during the Great Slide. My son was in that building. So were the children of 40 other families in our valley." Julian stopped breathing for a second. The laughter was gone. Elias continued, his voice thick with the weight of memory. "The government says the valley is a red zone now. They're closing the clinic. They're stopping the bus routes. They want us to move to the city, to live in concrete boxes where we can't see the sun rise over the wheat. But the people there, the widows, the old men who taught me how to graft apple trees, they have nowhere to go. They are being priced out of their own lives." The manager returned, wheeling a secure cart with several neatly packed bags. "Mr. Elias," the manager whispered, "are you sure about this?" Elias nodded, resting his hand on the bags. "Last month, a developer bought the deed to the valley's water rights and the main clinic building. They were going to bulldoze it to build a luxury resort. They told us if we couldn't pay the fair market value of $1 million by 4 p.m. today, the eviction notices go up tomorrow morning." He looked Julian dead in the eye. "I didn't earn this money in a boardroom. I earned it over 40 years of never taking a vacation, of selling every surplus bushel, and of living on bread and prayer. This isn't my money. This is the soil of my ancestors speaking." Julian looked at his own hands, clean, soft, and manicured. He thought of his success, which consisted of numbers moving on a screen, and compared it to the man standing before him who was carrying the weight of an entire community on his aching back. The businessman felt a sudden, sharp pang of insignificance. He realized that while he was chasing a higher percentage, Elias was chasing a future for people who had nothing left. As Elias began to haul the bags toward his rusted pickup truck, Julian felt a sudden impulse. He ran to the door, holding it open for the farmer. "Wait," Julian called out. Elias stopped at the curb. Julian pulled out his phone, his fingers trembling as he canceled his afternoon merger meeting. "That developer, the one who bought your water rights. I know him. He's a shark. $1 million covers the debt, but it doesn't cover the taxes or the upkeep for the next decade." Julian took a deep breath, his arrogance completely stripped away. "I'm coming with you. Not to take your money, but to use my legal team to make sure no one can ever touch that valley again. You kept the land alive, Elias. Let me help you build a fence around it that no developer can climb." The two men, the one who grew life from the earth and the one who had spent his life counting it, drove toward the mountains. That evening, as the sun set over the valley, the clinic lights stayed on. The farmer didn't just withdraw $1 million, he withdrew the fear from the hearts of his neighbors. And the businessman? He finally found a transaction that didn't leave him feeling empty. He realized that true wealth isn't what you gather, but what you are willing to lose to save someone else. In the end, the world remembers the giants not by the height of their buildings, but by the depth of the roots they protect. Wealth is a tool, but character is the hand that wields it. Never judge a man by the mud on his boots, for he might just be carrying the weight of the world.